Welcome back to your favorite place on the internet, in-depth literature. Just want to make sure this recording looks good. We've been a little dormant over here, but we're still reading. I haven't disappeared. I apologize. We haven't done anything since our last literature analysis. I don't even remember what book it was. We'll have to go back and look. But I thought we would kind of break the ice with a pretty epic book haul that we did at the used bookstore here in Norfolk, Virginia. And I do have some analysis planned. We just finished a whole slew of books. I mean, we still have to do 1984 by George Orwell. We still have to do The Executioner Song, and we also finished a book called Crazy Horse, Stories of Native American Addiction and Recovery. So we are going to knock those out. I don't want you guys to think we're abandoning the in-depth analyses. I've just had a lot going on. I've got family stuff. I've got school stuff. I've got been working on the novel like a dog. But I thought we'd kind of get back into the swing of things here, hopefully. Hold me accountable. We do have the analyses planned. We're going to be doing those probably over the next couple of weeks into December as the semester kind of phases out. If you guys are new here, I'm going to a college to go to become an art historian. I'm getting my bachelor's in art history. Why I'm not doing literature, I don't know, because I wasn't that interested in literature at the time that I started college. A little cup of coffee here. But anyway, so let me know what colleges you guys are going to. This is going to be kind of a long, ranty sort of life update book video, but used bookstore. It's called Book Exchange. I'm going to have a little ASMR for y'all while we sort of get this out of the package here. You guys can see some of the titles in there. But let's get these babies out of here. And I am going to prop up my microphone so I don't feel like I have to bend down to talk. That's a little better. Just want to make sure everything's picking up good. I might actually just leave them in the package. Yeah, that way I don't have to rearrange them. But it's a beautiful stack of books. As you can see, I'll hold it up for y'all. Actually, I'll just kind of take the plastic off here. Beautiful stack. I don't want to give away all the titles because I want to talk about some of them here. Up first, we have a beautiful Signet classic, little pocket paperback of Gulliver's Travels. Who's the author? Jonathan Swift. Definitely heard of Jonathan Swift. Me and my brother used to watch the Gulliver's Travels back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember that one from the 90s. This one is in pretty good condition. I really love the artwork. I'm not very familiar with Jonathan Swift's universe. I'm assuming, obviously I know about Gulliver's Travels. But let me know if anybody's read Gulliver's Travels, if you recommend it, what other books he has to offer, and sort of what his sort of philosophy or genre is. I'm assuming it's kind of like adventure stories, but who knows if he wrote anything else. Up next, we have another beautiful pocket paperback of The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. Obviously, you guys are familiar with Ray Bradbury. I haven't really read any science fiction or fantasy in quite some time. But that's going to, well, technically we read 1984, which is kind of science fiction. Of course, it's dystopian. But this is going to be a really great addition, not only to the collection, but also to the universe of science fiction. This is kind of dystopian as well, from what I understand. Up next, we have Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. We got a beautiful Barnes & Noble's paperback edition. Let me know if you guys are enjoying this lighting a little better. I've really been trying to tone down the lighting because when I go back and watch my videos, oftentimes they're way oversaturated and way too bright. I think this is a good balance. My forehead's not too shiny. It's looking awesome. This is apparently the last novel that he wrote before he was sort of bullied into retirement because of how controversial Jude the Obscure was. So I kind of like that cover. Not sure who Jude is, but he's the protagonist of the book, obviously. And yeah, I didn't even update you guys with our reading update. We'll probably do that for the next video. But we're actually reading a beautiful edition, a Barnes & Noble's edition, Classics edition of Moby Dick currently. We're reading a couple Thomas Wolfe books, and we're reading the Barnes & Noble's edition of the Paradiso, the final installment of the Divine Comedy trilogy by Dante, obviously. So this is going to be great not only for the collection. I'm really going to try to spend the rest of my life collecting every single edition of the Barnes & Noble's Classics edition because they don't make them anymore that I know of. So if you can find these, I don't want to say they're worth anything, but they're kind of rare. If you can find them in nice condition like this, even better. I probably shouldn't be marking mine up because someday they could be worth something. Another author we don't have in our collection, I don't think, is Sherwood Anderson. Got this nice copy of Winesburg, Ohio, the title is. I'm not sure. I think this is a novel or maybe short stories. Sherwood Anderson obviously comes up with, I don't think he's Southern Gothic, but he's obviously a Southern writer among Faulkner and, Thomas Wolfe, all those great cats. I think he might sort of be in the vein of, why does my brain never work when I'm making videos? John Steinbeck, perhaps, but obviously this Sherwood Anderson's a Southern writer. So let me know if anybody has read this particular title. Again, this one's called Winesburg, Ohio. It's reversed in the reflection, so I wanted to make sure I got it right. Beautiful Penguin Classic Edition, which I'll be thrilled to sort of add into the collection as well. What do we have next? Up next, we have a beautiful copy of As I Lay Dying. I really have been collecting Faulkner, and we're actually going to start reading Faulkner again into the winter months, I think. We're going to try to knock out Intruder of the Dust, possibly another one. But I have this really, really old school copy that you guys remember we did the review of As I Lay Dying. I have a really old beat up paperback copy, which is cool, but I wanted to get a nicer copy to kind of revisit it in the not too near future. So sort of goes along with the Southern writers. I feel like there's a Southern theme here. Ray Bradbury, I think, was Southern, wasn't he? Obviously, we got Sherwood Anderson. Thomas Hardy wasn't Southern, but again, we got Faulkner here, of course. And then we have Ralph Ellison with The Invisible Man, which is supposed to be really good. And no, this is not the science fiction book or movie called The Invisible Man. This is about sort of the struggles of African-American youth in American society, maybe sort of in the vein of James Baldwin, Maya Angelou type deal. So definitely looking forward to getting into this. Apparently he was influenced by James Joyce, Dostoevsky, T.S. Eliot. So this is going to be really great. Let me know if we have any Ralph Ellison scholars out there. And coming in at whatever number this is, we have a really great copy of Tales of Ordinary Madness by Charles Bukowski. I haven't read a lot of Bukowski lately. He used to be my favorite author a couple years ago, but I sort of graduated, I guess we could say, from the Bukowski camp. But I do have some plans to do some analysis of Bukowski. He's still an interesting writer. He's still an important writer, but I don't believe he's the only writer you should read. And he has a lot of bad advice just in terms of what he thinks is good morally and literature-wise. Obviously, his lifestyle wasn't the best, but obviously I'm fairly familiar with all of his novels. The only one I haven't... Well, I listened to an audiobook of Ham on Rye, but that's the only one that I haven't physically read. I've read Women, I've read Post Office, I've read Hollywood, I read Factotum. Factotum is probably one of my favorites. I've read a couple of his poems, a couple of his short stories, but hopefully we'll be getting into some more Charles Bukowski in the very, very near future. That's going to be exciting. Up next, we have something a little bit different. This is probably more for my regular channel where we talk about music, but Walk This Way, the official autobiography of Aerosmith. My mother, when I was growing up, she had a really beautiful hardcover edition of this. It was like really big. And then when we had a house fire, I kind of really got into rock and roll and got obsessed with Aerosmith, and I read that old school edition. If I could find the hardcover version, I'd be pretty happy. But this is just a really great introduction to Aerosmith. Obviously, Steven Tyler's controversial now for certain things that I'm not going to mention. But yeah, if you want to learn a little bit more about Aerosmith, I might just pick this up at night a couple times a week just to have some fun. Maybe bring it to work with me, read about their drug addiction, their alcoholism, and also the music. The music is interesting. They all had pretty interesting upbringings. So yeah, that's really great. And what's weird about this is I was actually thinking about this book a couple days ago. I'm like, I need to get another copy of Walk This Way, and sure enough, a beautiful brand new copy of Walk This Way was waiting for me. So maybe that old adage that your thoughts become reality, maybe that's a thing. Let me know. Up next, we have this beautiful edition of The Hobbit. I know. I've got a million editions of The Hobbit. And the lady at the bookstore actually was saying that because another old lady was saying, well, that's bent. They shouldn't have taken this book back. And the lady said that, well, if it's The Hobbit or, a high profile classic or a high profile author, they'll pretty much take the book regardless of the condition within reason. So we have another edition of The Hobbit. I probably got about 5 or 6 now. We're collecting Tolkien. We're curating Tolkien. Haven't read a lot of Tolkien yet, but I do want to get back into Tolkien. And the reason we collect Tolkien is not only for sort of the aesthetic quality and sort of the reputation of Tolkien, but I have a fond, a fond spot, fond memories of growing up with Tolkien, reading Tolkien, watching Lord of the Rings when I was younger. So this is, just kind of a part of that. I like the different artworks, the different covers, the different illustrators, the different editions. So super cool. Lastly but not least, we have this beautiful copy of, let me see if I can pronounce her name right, Eudora Welty, with a curtain of green. This beautiful. I want to get more books like this. This is definitely not a book that I would mark up. I do have a couple books that are maybe in this series, but these are just absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at that beautiful sort of bookmark there. Just beautiful design. This is actually just kind of spoke to me, and that's why I love going to the used bookstore. Now I just messed up the lighting. I love going to the used bookstore because books kind of just speak to you. Is the lighting going to get fixed here? Come on. I don't know if it's going to or not. See if we can... Does that help? Maybe. I don't know. So maybe the sun's disappearing too. It's a pretty cloudy day. But this is just a beautiful edition. This is really amazing. This was knocked down from $30 to $15. So just really great. Here's a picture of her. If anybody's familiar with Eudora Welty, let me know. Some of her opening sentences just really struck me as something I would want to read. Really beautiful writing. So I might actually pick this up sooner than later, just so I can kind of see what she's all about. And yeah, that's going to conclude the book haul. Let me know if you guys are familiar with the authors, if you recommend these books, if you don't think they're good. And leave your recommendations below. Again, like I said, we have some George Orwell content planned. We got to do Executioner Song by Norman Mailer. We got to do the Native American book on addiction. And then we do have some books that we're on the cusp of finishing. So we are back. I don't know how consistent we're going to be over here, but I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that I haven't forgot about you. And I love you all very much, and I'll speak with you again soon.